Alrighty everybody, welcome to the last episode of Project Frostbite. We got the car in the dyno here, we're getting ready to strap it down so that way we can start sending logs back and forth to the tuner so we can get this thing dialed in and ready for the streets. Now as you saw in the last video, we did get this thing up and started with a base tune. We wanted to essentially get it up to temperature, verify fluid levels, and check spark plugs once again before we got this thing ready to do some wide open throttle pulls. Car actually runs pretty decent now, but we're working with our tuner who's third party, who's going to use the information we're sending between the dyno information and of course the logs through the SCT software so we can get this thing dialed in. Now, of course, at the very end, we're going to explain the full price breakdown. Because remember, the whole goal of this Project Frostbite Mustang here was to essentially be a relevant Mustang in the 2024 modern Mustang era. We're essentially wanting to see if these things can keep up with the current Mustangs and only spend half the money for one. Now, of course, we're going to lay down everything that we spent on this car here. Retail price, no special pricing or anything along those lines to give ourselves breaks. We're going to break it down and then of course we're going to compare that to a new 2024 Mustang and see if this would be a relevant car to be able to pick up in the future. If you're looking for a little project Mustang that still has all the modern amenities of a newer Mustang, but it may not be all the best tech in the world, but still something modern and still something they can have a lot of fun with. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and get another log going here. I'm going to show a couple partial pulls. We'll get this thing strapped down, and of course we'll go over all the information at the end and then see if we actually hit our goal with Project Frostbite. Alright, so that's just the initial hit, the wide open throttle pull, essentially from 2,500, approximately 4,500 RPM. I want to make sure that it was actually enriching when it got up to RPM and actually getting into boost, which it did and stuff. So now we're actually going to do a full pull to about 6,000 RPM and then start making modifications. Right now there's not a lot of timing in it at all. It's actually very, very safe, but it appears that everything's going good. And there's no stumbles or anything once getting into throttle and actually getting into boost. So we'll go ahead and run it to get a 6,000 RPM, make sure everything's still looking good, and then we'll start making more adjustments, send all those logs back to the tuner and stuff, and have them take a look. So yeah, everything going smoothly so far on the dyno run. This thing, after it's all said and done, maybe make 400. It's already over that. So what's it?
Well, so then you go run. How bad was it?
11.8, 12.0, 11.8. Got a little lean towards the end. Looks like you might be backing up a little bit, but yeah, around here.
This is it.
11.8, yeah, 11.9. We're closer to 11.9, looks like.
So does you look, does he even run 11.8, 12.0, or is he 11.5 guy?
Alright everyone, the car is tuned, it's done, we got the final numbers and everything, and now we get to share all the results with you. So, car started life out completely 100% stock, and it made 244 rear wheel horsepower and 266 foot-pounds of torque. Which, again, this car's an automatic, it's a Shelby GT, nothing special, it's just really a glorified GT Mustang with some Shelby badging and stuff. A cold air kit factory, and again, just a nice little fun cruiser car that looks pretty good. 244 horsepower is about on par. Again, you lose more power to the rear wheels when you go through an automatic transmission. Now, going to our Stage 1 tuner kit, that's now fully tuned and everything. With this supercharger kit and the power pipe and everything, we are now at 409 rear wheel horsepower and 382 foot-pounds of torque. Now, this isn't tuned aggressively. The timing is actually very conservative, really. And it's tuned for 93 octane, no tricks, no specialties, nothing like that. Nothing that would be outside the normal avenue if you were to get your car tuned by a dyno tuning facility. So it makes peak power right at the end of the red line here. We ran the car up to 6,200 RPM, and it made about 10 pounds of boost right at the RPM level. So this kit normally makes probably right around 8 pounds of boost. The power pipe does add another couple pounds of boost. And of course, if you were to increase your RPM limit, if you have a manual transmission or if you have a little bit of a built motor and you want to spin it up to say 6,500 RPM, you can expect probably closer to 11 pounds of boost, maybe 12. Higher the RPM with the linear power band on the Vortech supercharger, it's going to make more boost. That's what it did. So yeah, 10 pounds of boost, 409, essentially rounded up 410 rear wheel horsepower, and again, 382 foot-pounds of torque. The torque peak was right at 5,600 RPM, and the power peak is right at 6,200 RPM where we actually ended the run. So it actually probably would have continued to increase in power, but again, this is a cruiser car, a car that you can drive anywhere. It's not going max effort or anything along those lines. Pretty great numbers actually, again, through an automatic transmission, 93 octane. And again, only thing this thing has is the supercharger kit and a set of shorty headers. So this kit here, of course, is spec'd out exactly, and we actually do offer this package here, essentially the supercharger kit with the injectors that you saw, the mass air meter, the power pipe, and the only thing it doesn't include is the tuning device or tuning, which of course that would be something that you would handle on your own or with your local tuner and tuning facility. So the numbers actually are right on par with a brand new 2024 Mustang GT. We actually just dynoed a dark horse here, literally about a day before we put this on the dyno. So that one made 416 rear wheel horsepower. If it was a regular GT, it'd probably be right at 400, maybe a little under. So that's actually right on par horsepower wise for a brand new 2024 Mustang GT. And again, this is through an automatic transmission. If you have a manual transmission, expect your rear wheel horsepower to increase by say 30 to maybe 40 rear wheels. So pretty darn impressive. Now, for just the simple modifications. But again, the whole premise of this little project here for Project Frostbite, again, we want to see what kind of bite we can give this thing, and does it actually bite your wallet. So, ran the numbers here, and just to give you guys an idea, I went ahead and went to Ford's website and built and priced a moderately based Mustang GT. I didn't do a GT Premium to help skew the numbers. I just did a base GT and did a couple little things that make it probably on average what this car would have been back when it came out in 2007. So a moderately equipped 2024 Mustang GT with not a bunch of add-ons, just a moderately equipped one, high package, automatic transmission. Again, to kind of keep it in the same vein as this, we're looking at $51,750. Now, in today's prices, that's actually pretty good. If you were to step it up and go with a GT Premium, you're probably looking closer to $60,000. And if you step up to a dark horse, again, you're talking 70, maybe 80,000, depending on what options you select. But again, we're gonna keep this comparison pretty simple. So the Mustang I laid out to kind of give myself a comparison to this car, $51,750. Now, what does this build, if you were to go out on the market and find yourself a used 05 to 09 Mustang GT, what kind of price can you expect to pay? Now this car here, it does have about 30,000 miles on it. It had a little bit of suspension upgrades, a couple knickknacks and stuff like that, but no change to the drivetrain whatsoever. No changes on the interior, anything along those lines. This car here was purchased for right around $18,000. So you can actually swing both ends of the spectrum. If you go with like an 05 Mustang GT that has moderate mileage and stuff, you can pick those up for closer to $10,000. And then if you find something like this, you're looking at the high teens, maybe low 20s. But again, this car, $18,000. You can find something definitely cheaper. But again, we're gonna stick to the hard numbers here. $18,000 for the car. The headers themselves were $520. Again, these were just BBK shorty headers, ceramic coated shorty headers that worked with the factory Cats, factory X-Pipe. So $520 right there for BBK shorty headers. We did want to spruce up the engine bay a little bit, so we bought the Ford Racing powdered blue valve covers. Those were $360. And again, just a cosmetic upgrade. Again, we wanted to splash up the engine bay just a little bit. And then, of course, the Stage 1 supercharger kit. And of course, this is in the polished finish, so I'm going to include the price of that as well. Again, no tricks. This is what you'll be able to purchase this exact kit for on the website on AndersonFordMotorsport.com. $5,750. And again, that kit includes the LU-47 injectors, the Deechworks 415 liter power fuel pump, the PMAS 95 millimeter mass air housing, and the Anderson power pipe. And then of course, your basic supercharger kit that you see here. Again, you can actually upgrade these kits. It's going to have options for you if you want to do an aftercooler setup, a water to air charge setup, and of course, different finishes like black, polished, or the standard satin. But this kit right here, $5,750. So obviously that's the big expense minus the car. Now the last thing here is going to be tuning and the tuner fee. Again, we're going to go based on regular rates and stuff. If you're going to drop this off at a shop here, the tuning device was an SCTX4, and then the tuner fee with the tuner charge to essentially get the car tuned and everything, we're going to label that even at $1,000. It was actually a little cheaper, but we're going to round up to $1,000 to make it simple. So there we go. Mustang, $18,000. Headers, $520. Valve covers, $360. Stage 1 tuner kit, $5,750. Tuning and tuner fee, $1,000. So our grand total, if you were to do this build with this car, paying the prices that I just labeled, you are looking at a total of $25,630. And that gets you 410 essentially rear wheel horsepower and a moderately equipped 2024 Mustang GT. You're looking just under $52,000. Again, $51,750 for the one I spec'd out. So with this build, we are just under half, just under. We're like at like 49 point something %, just half of what it costs to buy a brand new Mustang and essentially have the same horsepower, and the car is lighter. So this car would be one of those cars that would be out driving around. It's unassuming. It doesn't have the heritage gear set, so it's very quiet under the hood. It has a stock catted mid-pipe and just the factory Ford Racing muffler, so it has a little bit of sound, but it's very unassuming. It doesn't look like it's something that would have a lot of horsepower. You line it up next to another Mustang of the 2024 model year, that's an automatic and stuff, and then these cars are lighter, and this car makes about the same horsepower. So this car would actually probably hurt some feelings out there because it's a car that costs literally half, just under half of what a brand new Mustang does. So what this what this whole project kind of boils down to, we wanted to give this car a little bit of bite, just a little bit. That's why we call it Project Frostbite. Again, with the color scheme being that it's a white car with the silver stripes and stuff, it's a good looking car. The Shelby GTs are a good looking car. The 05 to 09 Mustangs were good looking. The GTs were, and of course the Shelby GT 500s and stuff, they were good looking cars. They had pretty much no competition at the time when these were out. So these cars were very underwhelming power wise, and I get it. But in today's day and age where horsepower is king and everyone's just looking to get the next bump in horsepower and stuff, but of course new cars cost a lot of money. And that's essentially the whole point of this. We wanted to see if these cars can still be relevant in today's prices, in today's day and age, horsepower-wise. And sure enough, if you were to pick up a car, and again, in more reality, you can find a GT for a lot less, so your price is even less than half of what it costs to do a new Mustang. But something like this, your $25,000, that's half of what a new Mustang is. And again, we didn't do anything super fancy with this. We couldn't add camshafts. We could have really splurged out there and got some better rods and pistons and increased the boost. And the nice thing with the Vortech blower, if down the road, say you wanted to upgrade it further, just pulley down and get yourself some more boost, get yourself a good fuel system, some E85, set of rods and pistons, drop another $10,000 to $15,000, which will still be cheaper than a new Mustang, and you're gonna have more horsepower than what one of those will put out. And of course, the outlier here. If you start upgrading a newer Mustang, of course they're going to make more power. But again, your price per dollar per horsepower out the door is pretty, pretty crazy to think about. That these cars, even though like at the time they were pretty cool, but of course they don't compare at all to today's Mustangs. And for half the price of a new one, you can still have one that keeps up, one that's essentially very unassuming, doesn't make all the crazy noises and stuff, but where it counts, when it starts putting the rubber to meeting the road, these things will still, hurt some feelings. So all we did is we had some fun with this project. It wasn't a super long series, video series as you saw. We covered a little bit more details, especially with the supercharger kit, essentially because that was the main focus of this, is that we knew a supercharger was going to make a huge difference with one of these cars, and that's what we wanted to do, and essentially that's what we did, and that's how we succeeded on this project. Again, we didn't want to go super crazy with it. This is a car that you can easily drive anywhere. It's not going to be a hassle to drive. It doesn't need any crazy warm-up times. It doesn't need any major maintenance things. It's just one of those things where it's less is more. Just add a blower, a simple set of headers, and a couple of little cosmetic things, and there you go. You got something that looks really cool under the hood. The power pipe looks awesome. The polished finish is a nice touch, and of course, to offset it with the blue valve covers. And of course you can do a couple other things here and there, but essentially that is it. And again, I'm not trying to convince you to purchase one of these over a new Mustang. If you can definitely afford a new Mustang, by all means, a Coyote engine is fantastic, and those cars look great too. But again, something to consider. If you're a little bit more on a tighter budget, this might be the next best thing to look at, especially since now Fox body prices are way over the top, and it's really hard to get yourself into one of those that doesn't need a ton of work. And just again, something to consider. We're going to call this a wrap on the Project Frostbite 2007 Shelby GT Mustang. I want to give a huge shout out to Matt, the technician that helped stay late with me a few nights to get this project knocked out. I want to thank Randy Anderson for allowing us to use his car as the guinea pig to be able to do this. And also I want to thank our sponsor, the big sponsor for this video series and for the build, that's Vortech Superchargers. We want to give a huge shout out to them for helping us make this project become a reality. Again, a simple one, and that's sometimes simple is just better. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap up Project Frostbite here. If you guys are interested in anything we sell on this build or any of our other stuff, check out our website, www.andersonfordmotorsport.com. Give us a call, and we'll be happy to walk you through your project and your build and get you the right parts for what you need for the horsepower you want to make. A lot of this stuff, of course, we always dyno test everything. We saw that the power pipe picked up 2 more pounds of boost versus what this system puts out normally. So again, we just wanted to, showcase that here as well. All right, that's gonna wrap it up here. If you, we hope that you like this this project series. Please check out our other videos and of course our last project series, Project Everyman, and we'll keep putting out new projects down the road as well. So please please share this with your friends. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel so that we can keep growing this. And with all that being said, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.